Saying no is something many people struggle with. It is a pivotal step in growing your mind, body, and soul. The amount of drain a person can have on them just because they feel the need to say yes to everyone can drown a person. For in today's video, we will discuss the power that saying no to people can present to you. Thank you for watching, and if you want to be a part of our Stoic journey through life, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching and welcome to our Stoic journey. Number 1. Saying no gives you back your time. Our days are filled with endless demands on our time and attention, both at work and in our personal lives. Requests pile up, notifications constantly interrupt, and like drones programmed on autopilot, we say, yes, 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 until we're stretched thin to utter exhaustion. But there is an antidote to this cycle of overwhelm: learning the art of refusal. As that ever-wise Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius discovered centuries ago, the power of no is life-changing. Saying no to non-essential claims on your time returns you to the driver's seat, empowered with full authority on where your irreplaceable hours and energy should go. Imagine how transformative it would feel to set firm boundaries against an avalanche of unimportant meetings, emails, favors, and more. As you kindly but firmly decline anything inessential or not utterly aligned with your core priorities, you're withdrawing fuel from the forces of frenzy and distraction. Suddenly you have reams of freed up space you can devote wholly to creative projects, relationships, leisure, or simple peace of mind. The master refusenic protects their valuable time and attention through the discipline of applying ruthless discernment. They know that diffuse focus depletes, while sustained immersion uplifts. They treat their energy as precious, because they understand their power extends through how they direct their efforts. Learning to say no isn't selfish. It's the wise cultivation of the soil of one's soul, so your unique seeds can grow and bear fruit for the world. As Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. By refusing the unessential, you gain back your days to spend by design rather than default. You strip out the monotony to remain laser-focused on the magic, the people and passions that set your spirit alight. Start today by rejecting anything that doesn't serve your higher aims. You may be astonished by how abundant your life can become." Number 2. Saying no helps you focus. Our human tendency is to say yes. Yes to anyone who asks for our time. Yes to each notification and distraction that demands our attention. But every time we refuse to erect boundaries and say no, we lose precious mental bandwidth and dilute our focus. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, recognized, the power to consciously say no is essential if we wish to lead an intentional, purpose-driven life. In the busy modern world full of pressing obligations, it's easy to become distracted and derailed from our true goals and priorities. Days slip by in a fog of busyness, but little meaningful progress. It's death by 1,000 diversions that ultimately don't move our most important projects and relationships forward. That's why refusing anything non-essential is so key for protecting the mental space needed for intentional, focused work and living. Saying no builds a moat around our most valuable resource, our attention and energy, allowing deep concentration on what matters. Every refusal of an unimportant meeting or time sink is an investment in the vision we hold for our one precious life. Learning judicious refusal also develops the clarity and wisdom to know what's trivial and what's critical. By continually pruning unnecessary commitments and distractions from our schedule, we strengthen our intuition for what aligns with our purpose and where we can have the greatest impact. Like tending a garden, saying no eliminates the weeds so our best ideas and goals can flourish. The power of no is one of marshaling our limited willpower and directing it with laser-like precision. It enables elite performance, whether an Olympic athlete training for the gold or an artist devoted to their craft, or an activist fighting for social change. Refusal creates the time and space for greatness to emerge. Saying no to the non-essential gives us back to ourselves, returning us to what Marcus Aurelius knew as the seat of power and choice, this present, precious moment of now. Number 3. Saying no sets boundaries. Saying no is an art that the wise have long cultivated. As Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius knew, refusal protects our most precious reserves, our time, energy, and attention. It sets the firm boundaries needed to steer others' demands away from our shores, conveying precisely what we will and won't accept in our one wild and precious life. In a world screaming for our attention from every screen and channel, defining our limits becomes essential. Without conscious boundaries patrolling our hours, we easily get overwhelmed serving everyone else's interests, except our own. Days devolve into fractured chaos. Our focus scatters like buckshot off target. Stress becomes a domesticated pet that trails our every step. But the judicious power of no changes everything. Calmly refusing anything distracting or draining conveys self-respect and earns the respect of others. It makes clear we know our talents and have too much self-love to squander them on the trivial. No becomes a shield against people-pleasing and passive acquiescence to what our time and effort is worth. It returns agency back to our hands. While initially difficult, the more we practice refusal, the more instinctive saying no becomes. We begin to operate from our highest selves, knowing our giftedness and where it must be fiercely protected from dilution. When we turn down others with love, most understand because they too have yearned to be undistracted creators. Our no ripples inspiration, not ill will. Saying no also enables our greatest yes to purpose and to the potential whispering to us from some unmined seam deep within. It carves out the quiet cathedrals in time where we hear our callings. Without no, we remain too busy milling around the superficial to ever grasp the golden threads leading down to our deepest domains of genius. Master the art of refusal and unlock the life you were made for. Number 4. Saying no reduces stress. Our workload expands infinitely to overwhelm the time we allot it. The more willing we are to say yes, the more thankless tasks and tedious meetings get heaped upon our plate until we're nauseous from the ceaseless mental feast. In our eagerness to please, we regularly overcommit ourselves to the edge of total collapse. But there is a way to ease this self-imposed tyranny of stress, the power of refusal. That vigilant Stoic Marcus Aurelius knew that saying no is essential for maintaining sanity in a world demanding our constant attention. By firmly declining any non-crucial obligation or time vampire, we build a retaining wall to keep our energy reserves from depleting to empty. Imagine how it would feel to set strict limits around your work capacity and not budge, no matter how persuasive the arguments to relent. Like a bouncer at an exclusive club, you hold all the power regarding who you let into your moment-to-moment experience. The unimportant and draining never make it past the velvet rope into your precious hours. By refusing overcommitment, we adopt a sustainable pace aligned with our humanity, one that allows true rest, reflection, and recreation. We relinquish the need to have robotic endurance. We respect the truths of our body's needs rather than overriding them through caffeine, stress hormones, and pure frantic effort. We become far more effective when we're not raced ragged, chasing the illusion of productivity over health. The power of no is learning to be faithful stewards of our energy, not thoughtless squanderers. It's the courage to put self-care on equal footing with achievement. Start today by declining anything that steals your serenity. As Marcus Aurelius knew, very little is needed to make a happy life, and that little is only possible through refusal. Number 5. Saying no can strengthen relationships. We've all been there. A friend or family member asks yet another favor that we feel obliged to say yes to, even as our time and energy reserves sink dangerously low. In our desire to be helpful and liked, we regularly overextend ourselves, building resentment that can unconsciously leak out and strain our closest relationships. But there is a better way, as that ever-practical Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius knew centuries ago. The judicious power of no applied with wisdom and care can actually strengthen the connections that matter most. By firmly yet lovingly setting boundaries around your capabilities, you make space for wholehearted yeses to what uplifts both you and your community. Real friends worthy of your loyalty will understand and respect when you decline an ask that is simply too much. They will get that by sometimes saying no. You are preserving your precious energy for when they truly need your support. Your no allows for inspired collaboration, not just depleted acquiescence. And contrary to fear-based thinking, refusal done with sensitivity builds deeper intimacy, not distance. Expressing your limits invites mutual understanding about the ongoing work of balance in relationships. It opens up honest conversations about sustainable practices that nourish everyone's needs. So the next time you want to scream no, but muzzle yourself, consider being radically candid instead. Let your no rise up not as bitterness, but as self-care that models healthy relating. Give your loved ones the gift of your wholehearted presence by refusing anything that frays your nerves. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life, and good boundaries pave this simple road to joy. Number 6. Saying no gets you taken more seriously. Amidst the frenzy of modern life, focus has become the premier currency and commodity. With so many clamoring for people's attention, those judicious about where they direct their own are granted an instant aura of gravitas and self-possession. Learning when to refuse distractions and unwarranted demands acts like a velvet rope, creating exclusivity around your priorities. As the philosopher-emperor Marcus Aurelius knew firsthand, the power of no establishes important boundaries, so you don't squander your precious time and mental energy. Saying no conveys how seriously you take your calling by filtering out what might steal your gifts. It funnels your talents only toward what warrants your greatest effort. Exercising wise refusal also develops the clarity to know what is truly essential versus what is merely urgent or loud. Refusing informs discernment about where you can create the greatest impact or beauty. Trained through saying no, your judgment strengthens about when to fully invest yourself. Your focused refusal garners respect from others who understand the fragility of creative emergence and flow states. Your no sets the tone that you take your ambitions and abilities seriously, and so should those hoping to gain your time and talents. Not only do you produce more work others admire, you build key social capital from your curation. Master the art of no and watch as more exciting invitations and opportunities unfold. Number 7. Saying no avoids resentment. We've all experienced that sinking feel in the pit of our stomach when we agree to yet another favor or project that we simply don't have the bandwidth for. In the moment, guilt and obligation pressure us into saying yes, even as a small inner voice screams no, and so we accept, suppressing our hesitation in order to be polite, helpful, liked. But weeks or months later, we feel that silent resentment simmering as our energy and morale plummets under the weight of the commitment we never truly wanted. The task we grudgingly accepted now feels like a thief stealing precious hours and joy from other more meaningful pursuits. Our martyr-like tolerance breeds bitterness that can often leak out, souring relationships. As wise Marcus Aurelius knew, refusing unwanted asks is essential emotional hygiene for avoiding this corrosion of the spirit. With care yet clarity, we can train those around us on what we will and won't accept as a healthy use of our irreplaceable time on this earth. Tactful refusal gives us back agency over our lives so we don't feel like a resentful victim buried alive by others' needs and expectations. Learning to say no isn't always easy or comfortable, but it's a critical practice of self-respect that keeps our energy high and minds light by protecting us from unconsciously taking on more than we can gracefully sustain. Start today by asking within before saying yes. If there's any flinch inside, listen to that inner wisdom and respond appropriately. You'll be astonished by the renewed joy and creativity you feel as you dwell contentedly in your highest priorities. Number 8. Saying no makes decision-making easier. Decision-making is ever so slightly easier when our palate stays simple, but we complicate things by caking on obligations, distractions, and pressures to conform until the sheer weight of commitments makes choosing paralyzingly complex. Each additional meeting, favor, notification tipping into our days steals a fraction of freedom about where to cast our precious attention. Yet there is a solution to lift this fog of indecision, known well by philosophers like Marcus Aurelius. The cleansing power of refusal clears our crowded plate of choices down to only what is essential and utterly aligned. Saying no returns decisiveness and agency back into our overscheduled hands. Imagine how light and focused you'd feel having pruned your tangled vines of commitment down to just those key relationships, projects, and priorities set ablaze with meaning for you. Your days become lucent and crisp, governed not by default and draining routine but conscious selection toward what inspires. Freed of the trivial many, you gain mental bandwidth to hear the call of the vital few. If you wish to master the art of living by design, start by adopting the Stoics' discriminating palate. Say no to leave room for serendipity, spontaneity, and flow. Travel light through refusal so you remain nimble when opportunity knocks. As Aurelius wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life, and no carved space for those essential ingredients which make decision-making pure joy. Number 9. Saying no earns reciprocity. In our eagerness to be seen as reliable and helpful, most of us habitually overcommit to endless favors and requests from friends, family, and co-workers. We say yes even when our schedules can't sustainably hold one more obligation. Yet this perceived selflessness often backfires. We end up exhausted and resentful. and people come to unconsciously take advantage of our poor boundaries. There is a better path, as philosopher Marcus Aurelius counseled. Learning to judiciously say no with empathy yet clarity has a curiously positive side effect. Those around you become more thoughtful about asking for your time. They understand you have limits and must prioritize self-care. And when you do offer your energy, it's from a place of true availability and desire to help, not depletion and bitterness. Counterintuitively, setting limits boosts the quality of your relationships. People appreciate you more when you're not perpetually overwhelmed serving their needs without regard for your own. Your refusals make room for authentic generosity free of scorekeeping and bottled-up angst. Both sides enjoy the ease of mutually uplifting exchanges. Saying no also tends to earn reciprocity over time, as you turn down exhausting asks with transparent communication about protecting your precious energy. Loved ones will be more willing to do the same for you. They will step up more when you truly need support, having directly felt the benefits of healthy boundaries. As Marcus Aurelius knew, judicious refusal paradoxically brings us closer together. It builds relationships grounded in self-knowledge and care for the whole, not just pleasing others at personal expense. Start today by saying no with love and watch the fruit it bears. Number 10. Saying no leaves room for surprises. We leave no empty margins in our day, cramming each moment full trying to live productively. Yet our intense schedule loyalty precludes the spontaneous and magical, shutting us off from surprise encounters and unexpected invitations swirling around us. Too busy being responsible prose writers, we miss the glittering poetry birthed only through moments of unstructured ease. But the power of refusal can unveil hidden wonders impossible to predict or plan for. As an ever-practical philosopher like Marcus Aurelius knew, saying no to lower-level commitments leaves openings for destiny's delightful diversions to capture our attention. Through judicious pruning of unnecessary meetings and tasks, we give oxygen to let higher possibility grow. Imagine how it would feel to float through your days unhurried, retaining nimbleness to pivot toward novelty and inspiration. Around each corner, a fresh adventure may await when you remain spacious inside, declining that which fails to add value or meaning. Every no eradicates obstacles to this free movement guided from creative emergence rather than routine obligation. The friends and luminaries you've yet to meet choose to enter rooms of receptivity and calm. The most life-changing collaborations are only born through shared presence and generous listening, activities excluded by a too regimented schedule. Say no to non-essential busyness and let arise something incredible in the gaps of your newfound untethered hours. As Aurelius wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life, but that little is only visible by refusing most everything else vying relentlessly for your time. Master the art of no to unlock the full, wild beauty waiting patiently within each day. If you are listening to this, thank you for staying till the end. If you feel any of these Stoic lessons resonated with you today, feel free to start a Stoic discussion in the comments. I welcome Stoic discussions as they are what the great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca advised for. As we stated before, if you're interested in Stoicism and self-improvement through the great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, then our Stoic newsletter, which you can join in the description, is perfect for you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, and if you want more content like this, subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you find peace and serenity in the Stoic ways.